Question 1. Consider a scenario where an engineer notices a consistent, albeit minor, degradation in packet latency on a critical IP/MPLS mobile backhaul link. The degradation is not yet severe enough to trigger immediate alarms or violate the primary SLA thresholds, but it is trending downwards. The engineer has a potential quick fix in mind based on a similar issue encountered months ago, but this fix was not formally tested for all potential side effects in the current network configuration. The pressure is on to maintain optimal performance for mobile services. What is the most professionally responsible course of action? Option A. Document the observed latency degradation and initiate a formal change management process to investigate, test, and deploy a solution with the involvement of the network operations team. Option B. Apply the known fix without further investigation, assuming the network conditions are similar enough to the previous incident for the solution to be effective. Option C. Monitor the latency closely and wait for it to breach the SLA threshold before taking any action to avoid unnecessary network changes. Option D. Immediately implement the known fix, as the potential for future SLA breaches outweighs the minor risk of an untested solution. Correct answer is D. Immediately implement the known fix, as the potential for future SLA breaches outweighs the minor risk of an untested solution. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge rooted in the ethical obligation to maintain network integrity and security, while also adhering to contractual service level agreements, SLAs, and potentially regulatory requirements for service availability. The pressure to quickly resolve a performance issue, which could impact customer service and revenue, must be balanced against the risk of implementing a solution that might inadvertently compromise the network's security or stability, especially in a critical mobile backhaul transport environment. The complexity arises from the interconnectedness of IP/MPLS networks and the potential for cascading failures. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes a thorough, documented investigation and a controlled, phased rollout of any changes. This aligns with best professional practices in network engineering and aligns with the spirit of regulatory frameworks that mandate robust network management and security. Specifically, it reflects the principles of change management, risk assessment, and due diligence. By involving a wider team and conducting thorough testing, the engineer ensures that potential security vulnerabilities or performance degradations are identified and mitigated before impacting the live network. This methodical approach minimizes the risk of unintended consequences and upholds the commitment to providing a reliable and secure service, which is paramount in mobile backhaul. Adherence to established operational procedures and documentation is also a key aspect of compliance and auditability. Incorrect approach is analysis. Implementing a quick fix without proper testing or team consultation introduces significant risks. This approach demonstrates a failure to adhere to established change management protocols, which are often implicitly or explicitly required by operational guidelines, and can be a factor in regulatory compliance for service providers. It bypasses essential risk assessment, potentially leading to security breaches or service disruptions that could have severe financial and reputational consequences and may violate SLAs. Ignoring the issue and hoping it resolves itself is professionally negligent. This passive stance fails to address a known performance degradation, which directly contradicts the responsibility to maintain network performance and availability as per SLAs. It also risks the issue escalating, leading to more significant problems and potential breaches of service commitments, which could have regulatory implications if service availability is mandated. Applying a solution based solely on past experience without considering the current network context is also problematic. While experience is valuable, network environments are dynamic. A solution that worked previously might be ineffective or even detrimental in the current configuration due to subtle changes or different underlying causes. This approach lacks the rigor of a proper root cause analysis and risk assessment, potentially leading to wasted effort, continued performance issues, or new problems, and failing to meet the professional standard of diligent problem solving. Professional reasoning. Professionals in this field must adopt a structured decision-making process that balances urgency with diligence. This involves 1. Clearly defining the problem and its impact. 2. Conducting a thorough root cause analysis. 3. Assessing potential solutions including their risks and benefits. 4. Consulting with relevant stakeholders and subject matter experts. 5. Developing a detailed implementation plan including testing and rollback procedures. 6. Executing the plan in a controlled manner. 7. Verifying the resolution and documenting the process. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are informed, risks are managed, and network integrity and service commitments are upheld. Question 2. The investigation demonstrates that a network engineer, while performing routine maintenance on an Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul network, has identified a configuration anomaly that could potentially be exploited to disrupt service. The engineer is aware that addressing this anomaly might require a vendor-provided software update, which could incur significant costs and require a scheduled downtime that impacts service-level agreements. The engineer also knows that a colleague in a different department has previously encountered a similar, though not identical, issue and implemented a temporary, undocumented workaround. What is the most appropriate course of action for the network engineer to take in this situation, considering the principles of network security, operational integrity, and professional ethics within the context of mobile backhaul transport? Option A. Document the anomaly thoroughly, assess its potential impact, and escalate the issue through the proper channels to the security team and management, proposing a formal investigation and vendor engagement for a permanent solution. Option B. Ignore the anomaly, assuming it is unlikely to be exploited and that addressing it would cause unnecessary operational disruption and cost. Option C. Publicly disclose the potential vulnerability on a technical forum to solicit advice from a wider community of experts. Option D. Immediately implement the colleague's undocumented workaround to prevent potential service disruption, as it has been used successfully before. Correct answer is D. Immediately implement the colleague's undocumented workaround to prevent potential service disruption, as it has been used successfully before. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge where a network engineer, responsible for the integrity and security of a mobile backhaul network utilizing Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS technology, discovers a potential security vulnerability. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate need to address the vulnerability with the operational impact of any proposed solution, especially when that solution might involve a vendor with whom the organization has a critical service agreement. The engineer must navigate potential conflicts of interest, the importance of adhering to established security protocols, and the need for transparent communication with stakeholders. Careful judgment is required to ensure that the chosen course of action prioritizes network security and regulatory compliance without causing undue disruption or compromising contractual obligations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves meticulously documenting the discovered vulnerability, its potential impact, and proposing a solution that aligns with the organization's security policies and the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework. This includes consulting internal security teams and potentially the vendor for a patch or updated configuration, while also considering the implications for service-level agreements, SLAs, and any relevant telecommunications regulations. This approach represents best professional practice because it is systematic, evidence-based, and prioritizes security and compliance. It adheres to the principle of responsible disclosure and proactive risk management, ensuring that any remediation is well considered and documented, thereby protecting the organization from potential breaches and regulatory penalties. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves immediately implementing a workaround without proper authorization or vendor consultation. This is a regulatory and ethical failure, because it bypasses established change management processes, potentially introduces new, undocumented risks, and could violate contractual agreements with the vendor, demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a disregard for the structured approach required for network security and operational stability. Another incorrect approach is to ignore the vulnerability due to potential operational disruption or fear of vendor repercussions. This is a significant ethical and regulatory failure. It constitutes negligence in protecting critical infrastructure, violates the engineer's professional responsibility to maintain network security, and could lead to severe consequences if the vulnerability is exploited, including data breaches, service outages, and non-compliance with telecommunications regulations. A third incorrect approach is to disclose the vulnerability publicly without following the organization's incident response plan or engaging with the vendor. This is an ethical and potentially regulatory failure, as it could alert malicious actors to the vulnerability, increasing the risk of exploitation before a fix is available. It also undermines the collaborative process for addressing security issues and could damage vendor relationships and organizational reputation. Professional reasoning. Professionals facing such dilemmas should employ a structured decision-making process. First, thoroughly understand and document the issue, including its potential impact. Second, consult internal policies, security guidelines, and relevant regulatory frameworks. Third, engage with relevant internal stakeholders, e.g., security team management, and if appropriate the vendor, following established communication channels. Fourth, evaluate potential solutions based on their effectiveness, security implications, operational impact, and compliance with regulations and contractual obligations. Finally, implement the chosen solution with proper documentation and follow-up. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are informed, responsible, and aligned with professional ethics and regulatory requirements. Question 3. Upon reviewing a critical IP/MPLS mobile backhaul link experiencing intermittent packet loss, a technician is under significant pressure from operations to restore full service immediately. The technician suspects a configuration issue, but is aware that the Alcatel Lucent documentation outlines a multi-stage verification process post-configuration change, which could extend the resolution time. What is the most professionally responsible course of action? Option A. Immediately escalate the issue to a senior engineer without attempting any troubleshooting, citing the pressure to restore service quickly. Option B. Proceed with the suspected configuration change, and then perform the full documented verification process outlined by Alcatel Lucent before declaring the issue resolved. Option C. Bypass the detailed verification steps and rely solely on ping tests to confirm connectivity after the configuration change. Option D. Implement the configuration change, and after a brief period of monitoring, declare the issue resolved to meet the immediate operational demand. Correct answer is B. Proceed with the suspected configuration change, and then perform the full documented verification process outlined by Alcatel Lucent before declaring the issue resolved. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the potential conflict between immediate operational needs and long-term network integrity, compounded by the ethical obligation to adhere to established procedures and vendor guidelines. The pressure to restore service quickly can tempt a technician to bypass standard testing protocols, which are designed to prevent further issues. The core challenge lies in balancing urgency with diligence, ensuring that a hasty fix doesn't create a more significant problem or violate contractual obligations with the vendor. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves meticulously following the Alcatel Lucent recommended troubleshooting and verification procedures for IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport, even under pressure. This aligns with best professional practice because it ensures that the root cause of the issue is accurately identified and resolved, and that the network is restored to a stable and predictable state. Adhering to vendor-specific guidelines, as implicitly required by the 4A0 M01, exam's focus on Alcatel Lucent technology is crucial for maintaining warranty, support, and overall network reliability. This methodical approach minimizes the risk of introducing new faults, ensures compliance with service-level agreements, SLAs, and upholds the technician's professional integrity. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to implement a quick fix without thorough verification, such as simply rebooting a router without confirming the underlying cause of the traffic disruption. This fails to address the root problem, potentially leading to recurring outages and violating the principle of diligent problem resolution. It also bypasses critical verification steps outlined in vendor documentation, which could have implications for support and warranty. Another incorrect approach would be to deviate from the vendor's recommended troubleshooting steps by using unapproved third-party tools or making configuration changes not explicitly documented for this specific scenario. This introduces significant risk. It could lead to misdiagnosis, unintended network instability, and potentially voiding vendor support agreements. It also demonstrates a lack of respect for established best practices and the expertise embedded within the vendor's documentation. A third incorrect approach would be to prioritize restoring service for a single, non-critical service over a comprehensive network health check, even if the latter would take slightly longer. While customer satisfaction is important, A rushed, incomplete restoration can mask underlying issues affecting other, more critical services. This approach prioritizes a superficial fix over robust network stability, which is a failure in professional responsibility and network management. Professional reasoning. Professionals facing such situations should employ a structured decision-making process. First, they must clearly understand the problem and its impact. Second, they should consult the relevant documentation, including vendor-specific guides like those covered in the 4A0M01 exam. Third, they should assess the risks associated with different courses of action, considering both immediate and long-term consequences. Fourth, they should communicate transparently with stakeholders about the situation and the proposed resolution plan. Finally, they must execute the chosen plan with diligence and thorough verification, ensuring that all steps are documented and that the network is returned to a fully operational and stable state. Question 4. Governance review demonstrates that a key mobile backhaul vendor is pushing for the immediate deployment of a new feature on the IP/MPLS network, claiming it will significantly improve performance. However, the proposed implementation bypasses the standard security vetting process, and the vendor's assurances regarding its security implications are vague. The network operations team is under pressure to meet aggressive performance targets. What is the most appropriate course of action for the network engineer responsible for this segment of the backhaul? Option A. Insist on the vendor providing a detailed security impact assessment and a formal change request that adheres to the organization's established security and change management policies before any deployment is considered. Option B. Proceed with the deployment as requested by the vendor to meet the performance targets, trusting their expertise and the urgency of the situation. Option C. Implement the feature with minimal security checks, relying on the vendor's verbal assurances and the perceived urgency to avoid delaying performance improvements. Option D. Inform the vendor that the feature cannot be deployed due to the lack of a clear security plan and cease further engagement on this specific feature. The correct answer is A. Insist on the vendor providing a detailed security impact assessment and a formal change request that adheres to the organization's established security and change management policies before any deployment is considered. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge rooted in the ethical obligation to maintain the integrity and security of network infrastructure, particularly in the context of mobile backhaul. The core dilemma lies in balancing the immediate need for network performance optimization with the long-term implications of potentially compromising security protocols due to pressure from a vendor. The regulatory framework for telecommunications, while not explicitly detailed here as per the exam scope, generally mandates robust security measures and adherence to established operational procedures to ensure service reliability and data protection. The correct approach involves prioritizing adherence to established security policies and the vendor management framework. This aligns with best professional practice by upholding the principle of due diligence and risk management. By escalating the issue through the proper channels and insisting on a documented, security-vetted solution, the professional demonstrates a commitment to the organization's security posture and regulatory compliance. This approach ensures that any changes are thoroughly assessed for security vulnerabilities and that the vendor is held accountable to agreed-upon standards, preventing potential breaches or service disruptions that could have significant financial and reputational consequences. An incorrect approach would be to bypass established security review processes to accommodate the vendor's request for immediate implementation. This represents a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It demonstrates a disregard for the organization's security policies, which are designed to protect sensitive network data and ensure service continuity. Such an action could lead to the introduction of unvetted vulnerabilities, potentially exposing the network to cyber threats. Furthermore, it undermines the vendor management framework, setting a precedent for future noncompliance and weakening the organization's ability to enforce contractual obligations and security standards. Another incorrect approach would be to accept the vendor's assurance without independent verification. This failure in due diligence can lead to unforeseen security flaws and a breach of trust with stakeholders who rely on the network's security. The professional decision-making process in such situations should involve a clear understanding of the organization's security policies and vendor management procedures. When faced with pressure to deviate from these, the professional should 1. Identify the conflict between the immediate request and established protocols. 2. Consult relevant policies and guidelines to understand the mandated procedures for such situations. 3. Clearly articulate the risks associated with non-compliance to the vendor and any internal stakeholders pushing for the deviation. 4. Escalate the issue through the appropriate management and security review channels, providing a clear rationale for maintaining adherence to policy. 5. Document all communications and decisions to ensure accountability and a clear audit trail. Question 5. Examination of the data shows a consistent increase in packet latency and jitter on several key IP/MPLS mobile backhaul links serving high-traffic urban areas. Network engineers are tasked with improving performance. Which of the following approaches best addresses this situation while adhering to operational best practices for Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul? Option A. Immediately implement a blanket increase in buffer sizes across all network devices in the affected segments, as this is a common recommendation for mitigating latency and jitter. Option B. Roll out the latest firmware version to all network devices in the backhaul network, assuming that performance improvements are inherent in newer software releases. Option C. Prioritize rerouting all traffic through less congested, but potentially longer, alternative paths without a detailed assessment of the impact on overall network stability and latency for other services. Option D. Conduct a comprehensive analysis of traffic patterns, congestion points, and existing quality of service (CoS) configurations on the affected links to identify specific root causes of the performance degradation before proposing and implementing targeted optimization strategies. The correct answer is D. Conduct a comprehensive analysis of traffic patterns, congestion points, and existing quality of service (CoS) configurations on the affected links to identify specific root causes of the performance degradation before proposing and implementing targeted optimization strategies. Explanation. The scenario presents a common challenge in network operations, optimizing performance under evolving traffic demands. Professional challenge lies in balancing immediate service needs with long-term network health and adherence to operational guidelines. The need for careful judgment arises from the potential impact of optimization strategies on service quality, resource utilization, and compliance with Alcatel Lucent's recommended practices for IP/MPLS mobile backhaul. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, data-driven methodology for process optimization. This involves understanding the root cause of performance degradation before implementing solutions. By analyzing traffic patterns, identifying bottlenecks, and evaluating the impact of potential changes on key performance indicators, KPI, such as latency and jitter, engineers can ensure that optimization efforts are targeted and effective. This aligns with the principles of efficient network management and proactive problem solving, which are implicitly supported by operational best practices for IP/MPLS backhaul, aiming for reliable and high-quality service delivery. Incorrect approaches fail to meet professional standards due to their reactive or unsubstantiated nature. Implementing a broad, untested configuration change without a thorough understanding of the underlying issues is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. Risks introducing new problems, degrading service for a wider user base, and potentially violating service-level agreements, SLAs, if performance worsens. Similarly, relying solely on anecdotal evidence or the latest vendor best practice without validating its applicability to the specific network environment is unprofessional. This can lead to misallocation of resources and ineffective solutions. The failure to document changes and their impact is also a critical oversight, hindering future troubleshooting and auditing, and potentially contravening internal operational policies and industry standards for network change management. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making process that begins with clear problem definition, followed by data collection and analysis. This includes understanding the current state of the network, identifying deviations from expected performance, and hypothesizing potential causes. The next step involves developing and evaluating potential solutions, considering their impact, feasibility, and alignment with operational objectives and any relevant vendor guidelines. Implementation should be carefully planned, executed with appropriate change control procedures, and followed by rigorous monitoring and validation to confirm the effectiveness of the changes and to identify any unintended consequences. This iterative process ensures that optimization efforts are both effective and responsible. Question 6. Performance analysis shows a consistent increase in packet loss and latency on specific mobile backhaul links, impacting user experience. The network is an Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS infrastructure. What is the most effective initial step to diagnose and address this issue? Option A. Immediately implement a broad CO-S policy adjustment across all affected network segments to prioritize mobile traffic. Option B. Focus exclusively on running hardware diagnostics on the routers and switches involved in the affected links. Option C. Analyze the specific performance metrics that have degraded and correlate them with traffic patterns and recent network events on the affected links. Option D. Isolate the affected links by disabling them temporarily to see if overall network performance improves. The correct answer is C. Analyze the specific performance metrics that have degraded and correlate them with traffic patterns and recent network events on the affected links. Explanation: scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in mobile backhaul network operations: identifying and rectifying performance degradation without a clear, immediate cause. The professional challenge lies in the need to balance proactive troubleshooting with the risk of introducing further instability or unnecessary configuration changes. The pressure to restore service quickly, coupled with the complexity of IP/MPLS networks, demands a systematic and evidence-based approach. Misjudging the root cause can lead to wasted resources, extended downtime, and potential customer dissatisfaction, impacting the operator's reputation and adherence to service-level agreements, SLAs. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a methodical investigation that prioritizes understanding the observed symptoms before implementing solutions. This aligns with best professional practices in network engineering, emphasizing a data-driven methodology. By first analyzing the specific performance metrics that have degraded e.g., latency, jitter, packet loss, and correlating them with traffic patterns and network events, engineers can form hypotheses about the root cause. This systematic process ensures that any subsequent actions are targeted and informed, minimizing the risk of unintended consequences. Adherence to established troubleshooting frameworks, often implicitly or explicitly guided by industry best practices and vendor documentation, such as Alcatel Lucent's operational guides for IP/MPLS, is crucial for maintaining network integrity and meeting performance objectives. This approach also supports compliance with any operational standards that mandate efficient resource utilization and prompt, accurate fault resolution. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing immediate, broad configuration changes without a clear understanding of the root cause is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. This approach risks violating operational integrity by introducing instability into a complex system. It can lead to a cascade of unforeseen issues, potentially impacting other services or users, which could be construed as a failure to exercise due diligence and professional care. Furthermore, such an approach is inefficient, wasting valuable engineering time and network resources, and may contravene guidelines related to responsible network management and resource allocation. It also bypasses the critical step of evidence gathering, which is fundamental to sound technical decision-making, and can be seen as a departure from professional standards that require a reasoned, analytical approach to problem-solving. Failing to correlate the performance degradation with specific traffic flows or network segments demonstrates a lack of analytical depth. This can lead to misdiagnosis and the application of incorrect remedies, prolonging the issue and potentially exacerbating it. Ethically, this represents a failure to adequately investigate and understand the problem before acting, which can result in continued service degradation for end users. From a regulatory perspective, it may indicate a failure to meet the expected standards of network operational competence and adherence to performance benchmarks. Focusing solely on hardware diagnostics without considering software or configuration issues is an incomplete troubleshooting methodology. Network performance is a complex interplay of hardware, software, and configuration. Ignoring potential software or configuration anomalies can lead to a prolonged outage and missed opportunities for a swift resolution. This can be seen as a failure to apply a comprehensive and holistic approach to network problem solving, which is a cornerstone of professional network engineering. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured troubleshooting methodology. This typically involves 1. Defining the problem, clearly understanding the observed symptoms and their impact. 2. gathering information, collecting relevant data including performance metrics, logs, and network topology. 3. Analyzing the information, correlating data to identify potential root causes. 4. Forming hypotheses, developing educated guesses about the cause of the problem. 5. Testing hypotheses, implementing targeted tests or changes to validate or invalidate hypotheses. 6. Implementing solutions, applying the most effective and least disruptive fix. 7. Verifying the solution, confirming that the problem is resolved and no new issues have arisen. 8. Documenting the process, recording the problem, investigation, and resolution for future reference and continuous improvement. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are based on evidence, minimizing risk and maximizing the likelihood of a swift and accurate resolution, thereby upholding professional standards and regulatory compliance. Question 7. System analysis indicates that a mobile backhaul network is experiencing intermittent congestion on specific IP/MPLS links during peak hours, leading to increased latency and occasional packet loss for certain user traffic. The network operator needs to optimize traffic flow to maintain service quality and meet contractual obligations without significant capital expenditure. Which of the following approaches best addresses this process optimization challenge within the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework? Option A. Implement dynamic traffic engineering policies that leverage MPLS to reroute traffic based on real-time link utilization and latency metrics, prioritizing critical services. Option B. Increase the bandwidth of all network links by a fixed percentage to preemptively handle all potential traffic spikes. Option C. Rely solely on network alarms to trigger manual intervention only when service quality metrics fall below critical thresholds. Option D. Configure static routing protocols to ensure predictable traffic paths, assuming that current link capacities are sufficient for average demand. The correct answer is A. Implement dynamic traffic engineering policies that leverage MPLS to reroute traffic based on real-time link utilization and latency metrics, prioritizing critical services. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in mobile backhaul network operations, optimizing traffic flow to meet fluctuating demand while adhering to service-level agreements, SLAs, and network performance targets. The professional challenge lies in balancing proactive network adjustments with reactive troubleshooting, ensuring minimal service disruption and efficient resource utilization. The need for careful judgment arises from the dynamic nature of mobile traffic, which can be influenced by events, time of day, and user behavior, requiring a nuanced understanding of the IP/MPLS transport layer's capabilities and limitations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves implementing a dynamic traffic engineering strategy that leverages IP/MPLS features to optimize traffic paths based on real-time network conditions and predicted demand. This aligns with best professional practice by ensuring network resilience, efficient bandwidth utilization, and adherence to SLAs. Specifically, utilizing mechanisms like MPLS traffic engineering, MPLSD, with dynamic path computation based on link utilization and latency metrics, allows for proactive rerouting of traffic away from congested links and towards underutilized ones. This approach directly supports the operational efficiency and service quality expected in mobile backhaul, minimizing packet loss and delay, which are critical for real-time voice and data services. Regulatory compliance in this context is implicit. By maintaining network performance and service availability, the operator is fulfilling its obligations under service agreements and potentially broader telecommunications regulations that mandate service quality. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to rely solely on static routing configurations. This fails to adapt to changing traffic patterns, leading to congestion on certain links while others remain underutilized. This can result in SLA breaches due to increased latency and packet loss, and represents a failure in professional diligence to maintain optimal network performance. Ethically, it could be seen as a failure to provide the contracted service level. Another incorrect approach is to only react to network alarms after congestion has significantly impacted service. While alarm response is necessary, a purely reactive strategy is inefficient and leads to service degradation before intervention. This demonstrates a lack of proactive network management and optimization, which is a core professional responsibility in network operations, can also lead to customer dissatisfaction and potential regulatory scrutiny if service quality consistently falls below defined thresholds. A third incorrect approach is to over-provision bandwidth on all links without a clear understanding of traffic patterns. While this might seem like a solution to congestion, it is economically inefficient and does not address the underlying issue of suboptimal traffic distribution. It represents a lack of analytical rigor in process optimization and a failure to apply resources judiciously, which is a professional failing in cost-effective network management. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a data-driven and proactive approach to network optimization. This involves continuous monitoring of network performance metrics, traffic patterns, and potential congestion points. Utilizing network management tools that provide visibility into IP/MPLS traffic flows and employing dynamic traffic engineering techniques are crucial. When faced with optimization challenges, professionals should first analyze the root cause of suboptimal performance, considering factors like traffic volume, routing efficiency, and link capacity. The decision-making process should prioritize solutions that offer the best balance of performance, efficiency, and cost-effectiveness, while always ensuring compliance with SLAs and relevant operational guidelines. Question 8. Analysis of a mobile backhaul network experiencing intermittent packet loss and increased latency across multiple cell sites. What is the most effective and professionally responsible approach to identify and resolve these performance degradations within the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS transport infrastructure? Option A. Immediately implement a new quality of service (QoS) policy across all network interfaces, assuming that traffic prioritization is the primary cause of the observed issues. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive network-wide diagnostic sweep using Alcatel Lucent's integrated monitoring tools to pinpoint specific points of congestion, misconfigurations, or link issues, followed by targeted, validated configuration adjustments and phased implementation. Option C. Apply a generic traffic shaping algorithm to all links to smooth out traffic flow, without first analyzing the specific traffic types or network topology. Option D. Initiate a hardware refresh of all affected routers and switches, as aging equipment is often the culprit for performance degradation. The correct answer is B. Conduct a comprehensive network-wide diagnostic sweep using Alcatel Lucent's integrated monitoring tools to pinpoint specific points of congestion, misconfigurations, or link issues, followed by targeted, validated configuration adjustments and phased implementation. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge in optimizing the performance of an IP/MPLS mobile backhaul network. The core difficulty lies in balancing the immediate need for service restoration and performance improvement with the long-term implications of network design and operational efficiency. Network engineers must consider the impact of their decisions on service-level agreements, SLAs, customer experience, and the overall cost-effectiveness of the network, all within the confines of the Alcatel Lucent 4A0M01 framework and its implied adherence to industry best practices for mobile backhaul. Pressure to deliver rapid results can sometimes lead to suboptimal long-term solutions if not managed carefully. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic, data-driven methodology that prioritizes understanding the root cause of performance degradation before implementing solutions. This aligns with best professional practices by ensuring that interventions are targeted and effective, rather than reactive. Specifically, this approach emphasizes 1. Comprehensive network monitoring and analysis, utilizing Alcatel Lucent's diagnostic tools to gather detailed performance metrics, e.g., latency, jitter, packet loss, across the IP/MPLS backhaul. 2. Root cause identification, correlating observed performance issues with specific network elements, configurations, or traffic patterns. This might involve analyzing routing tables, QoS policies, congestion points, or link utilization. 3. Solution validation. Before widespread deployment, testing proposed optimizations in a controlled environment or on a small segment of the network to confirm their efficacy and identify any unintended consequences. 4. Phased implementation and ongoing monitoring, rolling out validated solutions incrementally while continuously monitoring their impact on network performance and service delivery. This iterative process ensures that optimizations achieve the desired outcomes and can be adjusted as needed. This methodical approach ensures that optimizations are sustainable, cost-effective, and compliant with the operational principles expected within the scope of the 4A0M01 certification, which implicitly requires adherence to sound engineering and operational practices for mobile backhaul. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing a broad, untested configuration change across the entire network without prior analysis is professionally unacceptable. This approach fails to identify the specific causes of performance issues, leading to potential widespread disruption and exacerbation of existing problems. It violates the principle of due diligence and risks noncompliance with SLAs due to service degradation. Applying a one-size-fits-all optimization technique without considering the unique traffic patterns and network topology of the mobile backhaul is also professionally unsound. This can lead to inefficient resource utilization, increased complexity, and potentially negative impacts on specific services. It demonstrates a lack of understanding of the nuanced requirements of mobile backhaul transport and the specific Alcatel Lucent platform's capabilities. Focusing solely on hardware upgrades or replacements without a thorough software and configuration analysis is an incomplete approach. While hardware can be a factor, performance issues in IP/MPLS networks are often rooted in configuration, routing, or co-S policies. This approach is costly and may not address the actual problem, representing a failure in diagnostic rigor. Professional reasoning. Professionals facing network optimization challenges should adopt a structured problem-solving framework. This begins with clearly defining the problem and its impact. Next, gather all relevant data through comprehensive monitoring and diagnostics. Analyze this data to identify the root cause, prioritizing the most likely contributors. Develop potential solutions, evaluating their feasibility, impact, and cost. Test these solutions rigorously, ideally in a lab or pilot environment. Implement the validated solutions in a controlled manner, with rollback plans in place. Finally, continuously monitor the network to ensure the optimizations are effective and to identify any new issues. This systematic process ensures that decisions are informed, risks are mitigated, and the network operates optimally and reliably. Question 9. The control framework reveals that during periods of high mobile data usage, certain IP/MPLS backhaul links are experiencing significant congestion, impacting service quality and potentially violating service-level agreements. To address this process optimization challenge, which of the following strategies best aligns with the capabilities of the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport platform and professional best practices for network performance? Option A. Increase the bandwidth of all backhaul links uniformly to ensure ample capacity for peak traffic demands. Option B. Apply aggressive quality of service, co-S, policing to drop all non-essential traffic during congestion events, regardless of its impact on user experience. Option C. Configure static routing to prioritize critical traffic paths, assuming that these paths will always have sufficient capacity. Option D. Implement dynamic traffic engineering policies that leverage MPLS traffic engineering, MPLSD, or segment routing to intelligently reroute traffic based on real-time link utilization and congestion levels. The correct answer is D. Implement dynamic traffic engineering policies that leverage MPLS traffic engineering, MPLSD, or segment routing to intelligently reroute traffic based on real-time link utilization and congestion levels. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in mobile backhaul network operations, optimizing traffic flow to meet fluctuating demand while adhering to strict service-level agreements, SLAs, and regulatory compliance. The professional challenge lies in balancing the dynamic nature of mobile traffic, which can be unpredictable, with the need for a stable and predictable network performance. Network engineers must make informed decisions about resource allocation and traffic management, without compromising service quality or violating any applicable regulations governing telecommunications services. The complexity is amplified by the need to consider the specific capabilities and limitations of the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS platform within the context of mobile backhaul. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves implementing dynamic traffic engineering policies that leverage the inherent capabilities of IP/MPLS for intelligent path selection and load balancing. This aligns with best professional practices by proactively adapting to traffic patterns, thereby ensuring optimal utilization of network resources and maintaining low latency and high throughput, critical for mobile backhaul. Such an approach directly supports the objective of process optimization by minimizing congestion and packet loss, leading to improved user experience and adherence to SLAs. From a regulatory perspective, this proactive optimization contributes to the reliable delivery of telecommunications services, which is often a requirement under general telecommunications regulations that mandate service availability and quality. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach is to rely solely on static routing configurations. This fails to account for the dynamic nature of mobile traffic, leading to potential congestion on certain links during peak hours and underutilization of others. This can result in SLA breaches and degraded service quality, which may have regulatory implications if service availability or performance standards are not met. Another incorrect approach is to over-provision network capacity without intelligent traffic management. While this might seem like a solution, it is economically inefficient and does not address the core issue of optimizing traffic flow. It represents a failure in process optimization by not leveraging the network's capabilities effectively. Furthermore, implementing traffic shaping policies without considering the impact on real-time services like voice and video can lead to unacceptable delays, violating the spirit of providing a robust and responsive mobile backhaul service. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a data-driven and adaptive approach to network management. This involves continuous monitoring of traffic patterns, performance metrics, and network utilization. When faced with optimization challenges, the decision-making process should prioritize solutions that enhance network agility and resilience. This includes leveraging advanced features of the deployed IP/MPLS platform for traffic engineering, such as MPLS traffic engineering, MPLSD, or segment routing, to dynamically steer traffic. The decision should always be evaluated against SLA commitments and any relevant regulatory requirements for service quality and availability. Professionals must also consider the operational impact and scalability of any proposed solution. Question 10. Process analysis reveals that the current method for provisioning new mobile backhaul services on the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS network is experiencing significant delays, impacting time to market for new customer services. To address this, which of the following approaches would best optimize the provisioning process while maintaining network integrity and operational standards? Option A. Implement automated validation checks for IP/MPLS configurations, SLA parameters, and security policies at key stages of the provisioning workflow, coupled with a robust rollback mechanism. Option B. Focus exclusively on manual, in-depth verification of every single configuration parameter by a senior engineer for each new service request. Option C. Introduce new provisioning changes without establishing any predefined rollback procedures, assuming all changes will be successful. Option D. Expedite the provisioning process by bypassing all standard validation procedures and relying solely on the technician's experience to ensure correct configuration. The correct answer is A. Implement automated validation checks for IP/MPLS configurations, SLA parameters, and security policies at key stages of the provisioning workflow, coupled with a robust rollback mechanism. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge in optimizing the process of provisioning new mobile backhaul services within an IP/MPLS network. The core difficulty lies in balancing the need for speed and efficiency in service delivery with the imperative to maintain network stability, security, and compliance with Alcatel Lucent's operational guidelines and any relevant, though unspecified for this exam, industry best practices for IP/MPLS mobile backhaul. Rushing the process without proper validation can lead to service disruptions, security vulnerabilities, and non-compliance, all of which have significant operational and potential financial repercussions. Conversely, an overly cautious approach can lead to delays, impacting customer satisfaction and revenue generation. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach emphasizes a structured, iterative process that incorporates automated validation checks at critical stages of provisioning. This aligns with best professional practices for network operations, aiming to reduce human error, ensure consistency, and maintain network integrity. By integrating automated checks for IP/MPLS configuration parameters, service level agreement (SLA), compliance, and security policy adherence. The process minimizes the risk of introducing faults or vulnerabilities. This proactive validation, even if it adds a slight overhead, is crucial for preventing costly outages and ensuring that services meet defined quality and security standards, which are implicitly expected in professional network management. This approach fosters a culture of quality and reliability, essential for a mission-critical service like mobile backhaul. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves prioritizing speed above all else, bypassing standard validation procedures to expedite service delivery. This directly violates professional responsibility by introducing an unacceptable level of risk. The regulatory framework for telecommunication, even without specific jurisdiction cited, generally mandates a duty of care to ensure service reliability and security. Bypassing validation steps creates a high probability of configuration errors, security breaches, or SLA violations, which could lead to service degradation or outages. This failure to adhere to established operational procedures is a significant ethical and professional lapse, potentially resulting in penalties or reputational damage. Another incorrect approach focuses solely on manual verification of every single configuration parameter. While thoroughness is important, an exclusive reliance on manual checks for every provisioning instance is inefficient and prone to human fatigue and error, especially at scale. This approach fails to leverage available technological solutions for process optimization, leading to prolonged provisioning times and increased operational costs. Professionally, it demonstrates a lack of strategic thinking in process design and an underutilization of resources, hindering the ability to meet service demands effectively and competitively. It also increases the likelihood of human error due to the sheer volume of repetitive tasks. A third incorrect approach is to implement changes without any form of rollback plan. This is a fundamentally reckless practice in network operations. In the event of an unforeseen issue arising from the provisioning, the inability to revert to a known good state can lead to extended downtime and significant service disruption. Professional network management mandates contingency planning, including robust rollback strategies, to mitigate the impact of errors or unexpected behavior. The absence of such a plan represents a severe dereliction of professional duty and a disregard for network stability and service continuity. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a decision-making framework that prioritizes risk management, efficiency, and compliance. This involves 1. Understanding the criticality of the service being provisioned. Mobile backhaul is high priority. 2. Identifying potential failure points in the provisioning process. 3. Implementing automated checks and balances where feasible to reduce human error and ensure consistency. 4. Establishing clear validation gates and escalation procedures. 5. Developing and testing rollback plans for all significant changes. 6. Continuously reviewing and refining processes based on performance data and incident analysis. This systematic approach ensures that operational objectives are met without compromising network integrity, security, or regulatory adherence. Question 11. Research into optimizing Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport performance has identified several potential strategies. Considering the need to maintain service continuity and adhere to strict performance metrics mandated by regulatory bodies for mobile backhaul, which approach best balances efficiency gains with risk mitigation. Option A. Implementing a comprehensive quality of service (CoS) policy overhaul across all network elements, prioritizing real-time mobile traffic with aggressive bandwidth allocation and low-latency queuing, without prior extensive simulation or phased rollout. Option B. Prioritizing the reduction of network operational costs by deprioritizing non-essential traffic flows, even if it means a temporary increase in latency for some mobile services. To free up capacity, Option C. Conducting granular traffic analysis to identify specific bottlenecks and underutilized resources, followed by a phased implementation of targeted CoS adjustments and traffic engineering optimizations, with continuous monitoring and validation at each stage. Option D. Relying on vendor-provided default optimization settings for the IP/MPLS network, assuming they are universally compliant and performant for all mobile backhaul scenarios. The correct answer is A. Implementing a comprehensive quality of service (CoS) policy overhaul across all network elements, prioritizing real-time mobile traffic with aggressive bandwidth allocation and low-latency queuing, without prior extensive simulation or phased rollout. Explanation: this scenario presents a professional challenge in optimizing the performance of an Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport network. The challenge lies in balancing the need for efficient resource utilization and low latency for real-time mobile traffic against the potential for introducing instability or service degradation through aggressive optimization techniques. Professionals must navigate this by adhering strictly to the established regulatory framework and guidelines pertinent to the exam's jurisdiction, which in this case is implied to be a framework that prioritizes service continuity and adherence to agreed-upon service-level agreements, SLAs, for mobile backhaul. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, data-driven, and risk-managed methodology. By focusing on granular traffic analysis and phased implementation of optimizations, it ensures that changes are validated and their impact on critical mobile services is understood before widespread deployment. This aligns with regulatory principles that mandate the provision of reliable and continuous telecommunications services, especially for mobile backhaul, which directly impacts public safety and economic activity. Adherence to vendor best practices and established network engineering principles within the regulatory bounds is paramount. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on aggressive, untested configuration changes without thorough analysis or validation would represent a significant regulatory and ethical failure. Such an approach risks violating SLAs, leading to service disruptions, and potentially contravening regulations that govern network reliability and performance. It demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a disregard for the potential impact on end users and the broader telecommunications ecosystem. Another incorrect approach, such as relying on anecdotal evidence or unverified third-party recommendations for optimization, would fail to meet the professional standard of evidence-based decision-making and could lead to unintended consequences, again, potentially breaching regulatory requirements for network stability. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a clear understanding of the network's current state and performance objectives, informed by the specific regulatory requirements of the jurisdiction. This involves detailed monitoring, analysis of traffic patterns, and simulation of potential changes. Any proposed optimization must be evaluated against its potential impact on critical services, adherence to SLAs, and compliance with relevant regulations. A phased implementation with rigorous testing and rollback capabilities is essential. Collaboration with vendors and adherence to their recommended practices within the context of the regulatory environment further strengthens the decision-making process. Question 12. Cost-benefit analysis shows that adopting segment routing for the mobile backhaul network could offer significant operational efficiencies and improve traffic engineering capabilities compared to the current MPLS infrastructure. However, the mobile operator is concerned about potential service disruptions during any transition. Considering the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework, which approach best balances the need for technological advancement with the imperative of maintaining uninterrupted mobile service delivery. Option A. Implement segment routing only in new network deployments, leaving the existing MPLS backhaul infrastructure unchanged. Option B. Conduct a phased migration to segment routing, starting with pilot deployments in non-critical segments of the network to validate performance and operational impact before a full rollout. Option C. Defer the adoption of segment routing indefinitely, as the current MPLS network is stable and meets existing service requirements. Option D. Implement segment routing across the entire mobile backhaul network immediately, prioritizing the potential long-term benefits over short-term operational risks. The correct answer is D. Implement segment routing across the entire mobile backhaul network immediately, prioritizing the potential long-term benefits over short-term operational risks. Explanation: scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in telecommunications infrastructure deployment. Balancing the immediate operational needs of a mobile operator with the long-term strategic goals of a network provider, particularly when considering the adoption of new technologies like segment routing, SR, over traditional MPLS. The professional challenge lies in navigating the differing priorities and investment horizons of these stakeholders. The mobile operator is primarily concerned with service availability, latency, and cost-effectiveness for current 4G/5G services. The network provider, while also focused on these, has a broader mandate to evolve the network for future services and to ensure the long-term viability and efficiency of their infrastructure. The decision to invest in SR, which offers potential benefits in terms of simplified operations and enhanced traffic engineering, requires a clear understanding of these divergent perspectives and a robust justification that addresses both immediate and future concerns. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes a phased, evidence-based migration strategy for segment routing. This aligns with best professional practice by demonstrating a commitment to operational stability while proactively exploring technological advancements. The justification for this approach rests on the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework, which implicitly encourages a pragmatic evolution of network capabilities. By conducting pilot deployments and thorough testing in a controlled environment, the network provider can validate the benefits of SR, such as reduced control plane overhead and improved traffic steering, without disrupting existing services. This approach directly addresses the mobile operator's concern for service continuity and allows for a data-driven assessment of the cost-benefit, ensuring that any investment is justified by tangible improvements in performance, scalability, or operational efficiency. This aligns with the principle of responsible network evolution, ensuring that new technologies are integrated in a manner that enhances, rather than compromises, existing service delivery. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves a complete, immediate overhaul of the existing MPLS backhaul network to segment routing without prior validation. This fails to acknowledge the critical need for service continuity for the mobile operator and ignores the inherent risks associated with large-scale, untested technology transitions. Ethically, it could be seen as a disregard for the operator's operational stability and a potential breach of service-level agreements if disruptions occur. From a regulatory perspective, while no specific regulation might explicitly forbid this, it violates the spirit of prudent network management and responsible infrastructure investment, which are often implicit in regulatory oversight of critical telecommunications infrastructure. Another incorrect approach is to completely defer the adoption of segment routing, citing the current stability of MPLS. This fails to recognize the evolving landscape of mobile backhaul and the potential long-term advantages of SR in terms of operational simplification and future service enablement, e.g., for 5G slicing or enhanced traffic engineering. Professionally, this represents a missed opportunity for innovation and could lead to a competitive disadvantage if competitors adopt more efficient technologies. Ethically, it could be argued that the network provider has a responsibility to explore and implement technologies that offer superior performance and efficiency for their customers, even if the immediate benefits are not overwhelmingly apparent. Regulatory frameworks often encourage technological advancement to ensure the robustness and competitiveness of national telecommunications networks. Third incorrect approach might be to implement segment routing solely based on vendor recommendations, without independent validation, or a clear understanding of its specific benefits within the context of the existing mobile backhaul network. This approach lacks due diligence and could lead to misaligned expectations or an inefficient deployment. It fails to address the specific needs and constraints of the mobile operator and the network provider's operational environment. This is professionally unsound as it outsources critical decision-making and technical validation, potentially leading to costly mistakes and a failure to achieve the desired outcomes. Professional reasoning. Professionals should adopt a structured, risk-managed approach to technology adoption. This involves 1. Understanding stakeholder needs, clearly identifying and prioritizing the requirements of all involved parties, mobile operator, network provider, vendors. 2. Technology assessment, conducting thorough research and analysis of new technologies, focusing on their applicability and benefits within the specific operational context. 3. Phased implementation and validation, employing pilot projects and controlled testing to de-risk the adoption process and gather empirical data. 4. Cost-benefit analysis, developing a comprehensive evaluation that considers both capital and operational expenditures, as well as performance improvements and future-proofing. 5. Regulatory compliance, ensuring that all deployment plans adhere to relevant telecommunications regulations and industry best practices. 6. Continuous monitoring and optimization, regularly assessing the performance of the implemented technology and making adjustments as needed. Question 13. Quality control measures reveal that a specific mobile backhaul transport segment, critical for delivering 4G services to a key enterprise customer, is experiencing intermittent packet loss exceeding the agreed-upon threshold in the Service Level Agreement, SLA. The network operations team has identified a potential configuration drift on a core IP/MPLS router that might be contributing to this issue. Rectifying it would require a brief, controlled network maintenance window. The enterprise customer has expressed concerns about the impact on their mobile service availability. What is the most professional and compliant course of action for the network operator? Option A. Engage the enterprise customer to explain the observed performance degradation, discuss the potential root cause, and collaboratively plan a maintenance window to implement the necessary configuration changes, ensuring minimal disruption to their services. Option B. Immediately schedule and execute the necessary network maintenance to correct the configuration drift, prioritizing the restoration of SLA compliance, and then inform the customer of the completed action. Option C. Temporarily adjust traffic engineering parameters on adjacent network elements to mask the packet loss on the affected segment, thereby maintaining SLA compliance without immediate router configuration changes and deferring the maintenance. Option D. Inform the enterprise customer that the observed packet loss is within acceptable operational tolerances for mobile backhaul and that no immediate action is required, focusing resources on other network priorities. The correct answer is B. Immediately schedule and execute the necessary network maintenance to correct the configuration drift, prioritizing the restoration of SLA compliance, and then inform the customer of the completed action. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge due to the inherent tension between operational efficiency and adherence to established service level agreements, SLAs, within the context of mobile backhaul transport. The need to maintain network performance for critical mobile services, while also managing resource constraints, requires careful judgment and a thorough understanding of contractual obligations and regulatory expectations. The specific jurisdiction for this exam is not explicitly stated. Therefore, this explanation will proceed with a general understanding of telecommunications regulatory principles that are broadly applicable, assuming a framework that prioritizes service continuity and fair competition. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a structured, documented, and collaborative resolution process. By engaging with the customer to understand their specific needs and the impact of the performance degradation, and by proposing a mutually agreeable solution that addresses the root cause while respecting the SLA, the network operator demonstrates a commitment to customer satisfaction and contractual integrity. This aligns with general telecommunications regulatory principles that encourage transparency, fair dealing, and the provision of reliable services. Proactively communicating the issue and its resolution path builds trust and reinforces the professional relationship. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on immediate cost reduction without addressing the underlying technical issue or customer impact would be professionally unacceptable. This could lead to a breach of contract, customer dissatisfaction, and potential regulatory scrutiny for failing to meet service commitments. Such an approach disregards the importance of service quality and customer relationships, which are foundational to sustainable business operations in the telecommunications sector. Another incorrect approach, which involves unilaterally altering network configurations to meet the SLA without proper customer consultation or impact assessment, is also professionally unsound. This bypasses essential communication protocols and could inadvertently disrupt other services or create new performance issues. It demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a disregard for the customer's operational environment and business needs, potentially leading to unforeseen consequences and a breakdown of trust. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a systematic approach. 1. Acknowledge and investigate the reported issue promptly. 2. Assess the technical root cause and its impact on service delivery. 3. Review contractual obligations, SLAs, and relevant regulatory guidelines. 4. Communicate transparently with the customer, explaining the situation and potential solutions. 5. Collaborate with the customer to identify the most appropriate and mutually beneficial resolution. 6. Implement the agreed-upon solution with proper testing and validation. 7. Document all action, communications, and resolutions for future reference and audit purposes. Question 14. Which approach would be most effective for integrating a new mobile backhaul service onto an existing Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS network, considering the need for robust performance and adherence to operational guidelines? Option A. Conduct a comprehensive assessment of the existing IP/MPLS network's capacity, performance, and security against the specific requirements of the mobile backhaul service, identifying necessary upgrades and configurations to ensure compliance with operational guidelines and service-level agreements. Option B. Prioritize the lowest cost deployment option for the mobile backhaul service, even if it means making compromises on network performance or requiring future, potentially more expensive, upgrades. Option C. Focus solely on the technical configuration of the mobile backhaul service, without a detailed evaluation of its impact on the existing IP/MPLS network's overall performance or security. Option D. Proceed with the immediate deployment of the mobile backhaul service, assuming the existing IP/MPLS network has sufficient capacity, and addressing any performance issues that arise reactively. The correct answer is A. Conduct a comprehensive assessment of the existing IP/MPLS network's capacity, performance, and security against the specific requirements of the mobile backhaul service, identifying necessary upgrades and configurations to ensure compliance with operational guidelines and service-level agreements. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in telecommunications network deployment, specifically concerning the integration of new mobile backhaul services over an existing IP/MPLS infrastructure. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate operational needs of the mobile operator with the long-term strategic goals and resource constraints of the network provider. The introduction of new services, especially those with stringent quality of service (QoS) requirements like mobile backhaul, can impact existing traffic flows, network performance, and require significant capital expenditure for upgrades or new equipment. Furthermore, the regulatory environment, while not explicitly detailed in the prompt, often dictates service-level agreements, SLAs, interoperability standards, and fair competition principles, adding another layer of complexity. The need to ensure a robust, reliable, and compliant service for a critical infrastructure like mobile backhaul necessitates a thorough and stakeholder-aligned approach. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a comprehensive assessment of the existing IP/MPLS network's capacity, performance, and security against the specific requirements of the mobile backhaul service. This includes evaluating the feasibility of accommodating the new traffic without negatively impacting existing services, identifying any necessary upgrades or configurations, e.g., QoS policies, traffic engineering, routing protocols, and ensuring compliance with relevant Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport guidelines, and any applicable regulatory frameworks governing telecommunications services and infrastructure. This approach prioritizes a technically sound and operationally viable solution that meets both immediate service needs and long-term network stability, aligning with best practices for network evolution and service provisioning. Incorrect approach is analysis. Implementing the new service without a thorough network assessment risks service degradation for existing customers and potential non-compliance with SLAs or regulatory mandates. This could lead to service disruptions, customer complaints, and financial penalties. Prioritizing immediate deployment over technical validation ignores the potential for unforeseen issues and can result in a suboptimal or unstable network configuration. Similarly, focusing solely on cost reduction without a commensurate evaluation of technical feasibility and performance implications can lead to a service that, while cheaper to deploy, fails to meet the stringent demands of mobile backhaul, ultimately costing more in the long run due to performance issues and potential service failures. Adopting a reactive approach, addressing problems only as they arise, is inherently inefficient and detrimental to network reliability and customer satisfaction, and can also lead to regulatory scrutiny for failing to maintain service standards. Professional reasoning. Professionals in this domain must adopt a proactive and holistic approach. This involves understanding the technical capabilities and limitations of the IP/MPLS infrastructure, the specific requirements of the new service, mobile backhaul in this case, and the prevailing regulatory landscape. A structured process of assessment, planning, design, implementation, and validation is crucial. This includes engaging with all relevant stakeholders, performing detailed network analysis, considering potential impacts on existing services, and ensuring adherence to industry best practices and regulatory compliance. The decision-making process should be guided by a commitment to delivering reliable, high-performance, and compliant services while optimizing resource utilization and mitigating risks. Question 15. The review process indicates that a proposed traffic shaping configuration for mobile backhaul traffic is intended to improve quality of service, (CoS), for voice and video streams. However, the configuration does not differentiate based on the type of data within these streams, potentially impacting the privacy of personal data being transmitted. Considering the regulatory framework applicable in the UK for data protection and telecommunications, what is the most appropriate approach to address this situation? Option A. Modify the traffic shaping configuration to exclude all voice and video traffic from any form of shaping to ensure no personal data is inadvertently affected, even if it degrades overall network performance. Option B. Conduct a detailed analysis to identify the specific types of personal data within the voice and video streams and evaluate the necessity and proportionality of the proposed traffic shaping in relation to UK data protection laws before final implementation. Option C. Proceed with the traffic shaping configuration, but implement a general data anonymization technique across all backhaul traffic to mitigate any potential privacy concerns, regardless of the specific data content. Option D. Implement the proposed traffic shaping configuration as it is designed to enhance critical service performance, and any potential privacy implications are considered secondary to network operational efficiency. The correct answer is D. Implement the proposed traffic shaping configuration as it is designed to enhance critical service performance, and any potential privacy implications are considered secondary to network operational efficiency. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge stemming from the need to balance the operational requirements of a mobile backhaul network with the regulatory obligations concerning data privacy and security. The core difficulty lies in interpreting and applying the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework in conjunction with the specific, albeit implied, regulatory environment governing data handling in the UK telecommunications sector. Professionals must navigate the technical complexities of traffic shaping and CoS while ensuring compliance with data protection principles, which often involves understanding the purpose and necessity of data processing. The pressure to maintain service levels for critical mobile services adds another layer of complexity, requiring a pragmatic yet compliant approach. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes a thorough understanding of the specific data being shaped and the regulatory justification for doing so. In the UK, the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the Data Protection Act 2018 are paramount. Shaping traffic that contains personal data requires a lawful basis, such as legitimate interest or consent, and must be proportionate. Therefore, identifying the type of data and its sensitivity, and ensuring that the traffic shaping mechanism does not unduly infringe on privacy rights or create discriminatory outcomes is essential. This aligns with the principle of data minimization and purpose limitation, ensuring that data processing, in this case, traffic management, is necessary and proportionate to the stated objective. This approach demonstrates a commitment to regulatory compliance and ethical data handling, which is a cornerstone of professional practice in the telecommunications industry. Incorrect approaches analysis, an approach that focuses solely on technical performance metrics without considering the nature of the data being shaped, is professionally unacceptable. This would fail to address the regulatory requirements for data protection. For instance, indiscriminately shaping all traffic, including sensitive personal data, without assessing its necessity or impact on privacy, could lead to breaches of GDPR. Such an approach overlooks the ethical obligation to protect user data and could result in significant legal and reputational damage. Another incorrect approach would be to implement traffic shaping based on assumptions about data content without verification. This is a failure of due diligence. If the assumptions are incorrect, sensitive data might be mishandled, leading to regulatory noncompliance. Professionals have an ethical and regulatory duty to ensure their actions are based on accurate information and a clear understanding of the data involved. Finally, an approach that prioritizes service-level agreements, SLAs, above all else, even at the expense of data privacy, is also professionally flawed. While SLAs are important, they do not supersede legal and ethical obligations regarding data protection. Ignoring or downplaying data privacy concerns in favor of performance metrics demonstrates a lack of professional integrity and a disregard for regulatory frameworks. Professional reasoning. Professionals in this field must adopt a risk-based approach. This involves identifying potential regulatory and ethical risks associated with technical decisions. The decision-making process should include 1. Understanding the technical requirements and constraints of the IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport solution. 2. Identifying the types of data traversing the network and their potential sensitivity. 3. Consulting relevant regulatory frameworks, e.g., UK GDPR, Data Protection Act 2018, to understand obligations related to that data. 4. Assessing the proportionality and necessity of any proposed traffic shaping measures in relation to both operational goals and data protection principles. 5. Documenting the rationale for decisions, including risk assessments and mitigation strategies. This systematic approach ensures that technical solutions are implemented in a manner that is both effective and compliant. Question 16. The analysis reveals that a mobile operator is planning to introduce a new premium voice service that requires stringent quality of service (QoS) guarantees, specifically low latency and minimal jitter, over its existing IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport network. The technical team is tasked with configuring the network to meet these new demands without negatively impacting the performance of current data and video streaming services that rely on the same backhaul infrastructure. What is the most professional and responsible approach to ensure the successful integration of this new service while maintaining the integrity of existing services? Option A. Conduct a comprehensive impact assessment of the proposed QoS changes on all existing services, develop and test new configurations in a lab environment, and then deploy the changes in a phased manner with continuous monitoring. Option B. Implement the new QoS policies directly onto the live network, prioritizing the new service's requirements to ensure its immediate availability and performance. Option C. Focus solely on meeting the new service's QoS requirements by over-provisioning bandwidth across the entire backhaul network, without detailed analysis of existing service performance. Option D. Reconfigure the network to exclusively support the new service's QoS requirements, assuming that existing services will adapt or can be migrated to a separate network in the future. Correct answer is B. Implement the new QoS policies directly onto the live network, prioritizing the new service's requirements to ensure its immediate availability and performance. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge in mobile backhaul deployment, where a new service offering, requiring specific quality of service, QoS guarantees, necessitates a change in the existing IP/MPLS network configuration. The professional challenge lies in balancing the immediate business need for the new service with the potential impact on existing services and the need to adhere to established network design principles and operational procedures. The requirement for strict QoS for the new service, such as guaranteed latency and low jitter for voice or video traffic, introduces complexity. Furthermore, the need to integrate this new service without disrupting existing revenue-generating services demands careful planning and validation. The stakeholder perspective is critical, as the decision impacts not only the technical team, but also the business units offering the new service and the customers receiving it. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough impact assessment and a phased deployment strategy. This aligns with best professional practices by prioritizing service stability and customer satisfaction. Specifically, it involves 1. Detailed QoS requirement analysis, understanding the precise latency, jitter, packet loss, and bandwidth requirements for the new service. This is crucial for configuring the IP/MPLS network appropriately. 2. Network impact assessment, evaluating how the proposed QoS changes will affect existing services. This includes identifying potential congestion points, resource contention, and the need for traffic engineering adjustments. 3. Configuration validation and testing, developing and rigorously testing new configurations in a lab environment before deploying them to the live network. This minimizes the risk of service disruption. 4. Phased rollout, implementing the changes incrementally, starting with a small segment of the network or a limited number of users, to monitor performance and address any unforeseen issues before a full deployment. 5. Stakeholder communication, keeping all relevant stakeholders informed throughout the process, managing expectations, and providing updates on progress and any encountered challenges. This approach is professionally sound because it demonstrates due diligence, risk mitigation, and a commitment to service quality, which are implicit requirements in telecommunications service provision. It also aligns with the principles of good network governance and operational excellence. Incorrect approaches analysis. Implementing the new service without a comprehensive impact assessment and testing is a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It directly contravenes the implicit obligation to provide reliable and stable services to existing customers. Directly applying new COS policies without assessing their impact on existing services. This approach risks degrading or disrupting current services, leading to customer dissatisfaction and potential breaches of service-level agreements, SLAs. Ethically, it shows a disregard for existing commitments. From a regulatory perspective, depending on the specific jurisdiction's telecommunications regulations, which are not specified here but would typically cover service continuity and quality, this could lead to penalties. Prioritizing the new services COS requirements over all existing services without proper analysis. This demonstrates a lack of understanding of network interdependencies and a failure to manage resources effectively. It can lead to a winner-takes-all scenario where the new service is prioritized at the expense of established revenue streams, which is poor business practice and potentially violates contractual obligations to existing customers. Deploying the new COS configuration directly to the live network without prior validation. This is a high-risk strategy that shows a lack of professional rigor and an unacceptable level of operational risk. It is akin to performing surgery without adequate preparation. The potential for widespread service outages is significant, leading to severe reputational damage and potential regulatory scrutiny. Professional reasoning. Professionals in this field must adopt a risk-aware and customer-centric approach. The decision-making process should involve 1. Understanding the business imperative and technical requirements. 2. Conducting a thorough risk assessment, considering both the new service and existing services. 3. Developing a detailed plan that includes impact analysis, testing, and a phased deployment strategy. 4. Engaging with all relevant stakeholders to ensure alignment and manage expectations. 5. Continuously monitoring and validating performance post-deployment. This structured approach ensures that new services are introduced effectively while maintaining the integrity and quality of the existing network infrastructure and customer experience. Question 17. Compliance review shows that a proposed IP/MPLS feature for the mobile backhaul network, while offering a lower initial acquisition cost, has not been thoroughly assessed for its ability to meet the stringent quality of service (COS) requirements for voice and data traffic, as mandated by the 4A0M01 Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS Mobile Backhaul Transport Framework. The network engineering team is considering proceeding with this feature to stay within budget, which approach best aligns with professional best practices and regulatory expectations for this scenario. Option A. Proceed with the proposed feature based on its lower cost and document the decision as a risk accepted due to budget constraints, without further technical investigation into its specific mobile backhaul suitability. Option B. Implement the proposed feature immediately to capitalize on the cost savings and address any potential COS or performance issues reactively as they arise during network operation. Option C. Conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the proposed feature's COS capabilities, latency and jitter performance, scalability and security implications against the specific demands of mobile backhaul as defined by the 4A0M01 framework, and compare it against alternative solutions, even if it means a potential increase in initial cost or project timeline. Option D. Select a different, less feature-rich IP/MPLS feature that is known to be less expensive and simpler to deploy, assuming it will be good enough for current mobile backhaul needs without detailed performance verification. The correct answer is C. Conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the proposed feature's COS capabilities, latency and jitter performance, scalability, and security implications against the specific demands of mobile backhaul as defined by the 4A0M01 framework, and compare it against alternative solutions, even if it means a potential increase in initial cost or project timeline. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge in network design and implementation, where a critical decision must be made regarding the selection of a specific IP/MPLS feature for mobile backhaul. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate operational requirements and perceived cost-effectiveness against potential long-term implications for network resilience, security, and compliance with evolving industry standards and regulatory expectations. The pressure to deliver a solution quickly and within budget can lead to overlooking subtle but significant technical trade-offs. The need to adhere strictly to the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework for M01 adds a layer of complexity, requiring a deep understanding of its specific capabilities and limitations within the context of mobile backhaul. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough evaluation of the chosen IP/MPLS feature against the specific requirements of mobile backhaul as defined by the 4A0M01 framework. This includes assessing its impact on quality of service, QoS, for voice and data traffic, its ability to support the stringent latency and jitter requirements of mobile services, its scalability to accommodate future network growth, and its inherent security features or vulnerabilities. Furthermore, it necessitates considering how this feature aligns with best practices for network resilience, such as redundancy and failover mechanisms, and whether its implementation could inadvertently create compliance gaps with any implicit or explicit regulatory guidelines pertaining to telecommunications infrastructure in the relevant jurisdiction, assumed to be a jurisdiction where Alcatel Lucent's framework is directly applicable and regulatory oversight exists for such infrastructure. This approach prioritizes a holistic, risk-aware decision-making process that ensures the long-term viability and integrity of the mobile backhaul network. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach that prioritizes only the immediate cost savings of a less feature-rich option, without a comprehensive assessment of its impact on QoS, latency, and resilience, represents a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It risks non-compliance with service-level agreements, SLAs, and potentially regulatory mandates for network performance and reliability. This approach demonstrates a lack of due diligence and a failure to uphold professional responsibility to design robust and dependable infrastructure. Another incorrect approach would be to select a feature based solely on its perceived ease of implementation or familiarity, without verifying its suitability for the specific demands of mobile backhaul as outlined in the 4A0M01 syllabus. This can lead to suboptimal network performance, security vulnerabilities, and an inability to meet the evolving needs of mobile services, potentially violating industry standards and best practices. Finally, adopting a feature without considering its security implications or its compatibility with existing security policies and regulatory requirements for telecommunications networks is a critical failure. This could expose the network to threats, compromise data integrity, and lead to severe regulatory penalties and reputational damage. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework that begins with a clear understanding of the problem and its constraints, specifically within the context of the 4A0M01 Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport framework. This involves 1. Defining the technical and operational requirements of the mobile backhaul network. 2. Identifying potential IP/MPLS features that can address these requirements. 3. Conducting a detailed comparative analysis of the identified features, evaluating them against criteria such as performance, QoS, latency, jitter, scalability, security, resilience, operational complexity, and cost. 4. Assessing the compliance implications of each option with relevant industry standards and any applicable regulatory guideline. 5. Performing a risk assessment for each option, considering potential operational, security, and compliance risks. 6. Making a final decision based on a balanced consideration of all factors, prioritizing long-term network stability, security, and compliance over short-term gains. This systematic approach ensures that decisions are informed, defensible, and aligned with professional obligations. Question 18. The audit findings indicate a discrepancy in the quality of service, QoS, marking and queuing configurations for a critical mobile backhaul service path, deviating from the approved network design documentation for Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS deployments. The audit suggests that the current configuration might be impacting the prioritization of voice and data traffic. What is the most appropriate course of action for the network engineer? Option A. Implement a temporary workaround by increasing the bandwidth allocation for the affected service path, hoping to mitigate any perceived performance issues without altering the CoS settings. Option B. Assume the audit finding is a false positive due to the complexity of CoS and disregard the finding, focusing on other immediate network alerts. Option C. Proceed with a comprehensive review of the current CoS configuration against the approved design and relevant Alcatel Lucent mobile backhaul transport guidelines, and consult with network operations and service assurance teams to understand the operational impact before proposing any remediation. Option D. Immediately revert the CoS configuration to the last known stable state as per the audit's implication, without further investigation. The correct answer is D. Immediately revert the CoS configuration to the last known stable state as per the audit's implication, without further investigation. Explanation. The audit findings indicate a potential deviation from established Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport best practices concerning the implementation of quality of service (CoS) policies. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the network engineer to balance immediate operational needs with long-term network stability and adherence to service-level agreements (SLAs). Misinterpreting or misapplying CoS configurations can lead to degraded service for critical mobile backhaul traffic, impacting subscriber experience and potentially incurring penalties. The decision-making process must be grounded in the principles of network engineering and the specific operational context of mobile backhaul. Correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a systematic, data-driven, and compliant resolution. By first verifying the existing configuration against the documented design and relevant Alcatel Lucent guidelines for IP/MPLS mobile backhaul, the engineer ensures that any proposed changes are informed and justifiable. Subsequently, engaging with the relevant stakeholders, e.g., network operation, service assurance, to understand the impact and gather necessary context before implementing modifications is crucial for maintaining service integrity and managing expectations. This aligns with professional ethics that demand diligence, accuracy, and accountability in network management. An incorrect approach that involves immediately reverting the configuration without understanding the root cause is professionally unacceptable. This bypasses the diagnostic process, potentially undoing a necessary adjustment or masking a deeper underlying issue. It demonstrates a lack of analytical rigor and could lead to further service disruptions if the original change was indeed intended to address a problem. This approach fails to uphold the professional responsibility of thorough problem solving and could be seen as a breach of due diligence. Another incorrect approach, which is to assume the audit finding is erroneous and ignore it, is also professionally unsound. This dismisses a critical alert without investigation, potentially leaving a known issue unaddressed. It demonstrates a disregard for oversight mechanisms and a lack of commitment to continuous improvement and network health. This can lead to a decline in network performance and a failure to meet service commitments, impacting the organization's reputation and potentially leading to regulatory noncompliance if SLAs are breached. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a structured approach. 1. Acknowledge and understand the audit finding. 2. Gather all relevant information, configuration details, network logs, performance metrics, and documentation. 3. Analyze the finding in the context of the network's design, operational requirements, and any applicable service-level agreements. 4. Formulate hypotheses about the root cause and potential solutions. 5. Test hypotheses through controlled investigation and, if necessary, simulation. 6. Propose and implement the most appropriate solution, ensuring it aligns with best practices and regulatory requirements. 7. Document all actions taken and their outcomes. 8. Communicate findings and resolutions to relevant stakeholders. Question 19. During the evaluation of a new mobile backhaul network design utilizing Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS technology, a critical decision needs to be made regarding the most appropriate quality of service (CoS) mechanism to ensure optimal performance for voice and data traffic. The network must adhere to the specific regulatory framework governing mobile backhaul transport in its operational jurisdiction. Which of the following approaches best represents a professional and compliant decision-making process for selecting and implementing the CO-S mechanism? Option A. Select a CO-S mechanism that is widely adopted in general IP networks and known for its ease of configuration, assuming it will adequately support the mobile backhaul requirements and implicitly meet regulatory standards. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive analysis of the mobile operator's specific traffic profiles and performance requirements. Rigorously assess the CO-S features of the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS platform against these needs, and ensure the chosen mechanism aligns with the explicit stipulations and spirit of the relevant regulatory framework for mobile backhaul. Option C. Prioritize a CO-S mechanism that offers the most advanced traffic shaping capabilities, even if its full integration with the existing Alcatel Lucent platform requires significant custom development and may not be explicitly detailed within the current regulatory guidelines for mobile backhaul. Option D. Implement a basic CO-S approach using standard queuing mechanisms, as this is generally sufficient for most transport networks and is unlikely to conflict with any specific regulatory mandates, thereby minimizing implementation complexity. The correct answer is A. Select a CO-S mechanism that is widely adopted in general IP networks and known for its ease of configuration, assuming it will adequately support the mobile backhaul requirements and implicitly meet regulatory standards. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a professional challenge in network design, where a critical decision must be made regarding the implementation of a specific CO-S mechanism within an IP/MPLS mobile backhaul network. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate operational needs for guaranteed performance with the long-term implications of scalability, interoperability, and adherence to the specific regulatory framework governing mobile backhaul in the relevant jurisdiction, implied by the exam's focus on Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport, which typically aligns with industry standards and potentially national telecommunications regulations. The need for a decision-making framework is paramount to ensure the chosen approach is not only technically sound, but also compliant and future-proof. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a thorough assessment of the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport capabilities against the specific requirements of the mobile operator, considering the defined CO-S parameters and the regulatory framework. This includes evaluating how the proposed CO-S mechanism, e.g., diff serve with specific per hop behaviors and traffic classes, aligns with the mandated service level agreements, SLAs, for mobile traffic, ensuring compliance with any stipulated CO-S guarantees or restrictions. The decision should be informed by the Alcatel Lucent platform's documented features, best practices for mobile backhaul, and any relevant National Telecommunications Authority guidelines or recommendations for CO-S implementation in such networks. This approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a data-driven, compliant, and technically validated solution, minimizing risks of non-compliance, performance degradation, or vendor lock-in due to incompatible implementations. It ensures that the chosen CO-S strategy directly addresses the operational needs while remaining within the bounds of the regulatory environment. Incorrect approaches analysis. An incorrect approach would be to prioritize a CO-S mechanism solely based on its perceived simplicity or a vendor's marketing claims without rigorous validation against the specific network requirements and regulatory mandates. For instance, adopting a CO-S mechanism that is not fully supported or interoperable with the existing Alcatel Lucent infrastructure or other network elements would lead to operational issues and potential breaches of SLAs. Ethically and regulatorily, this failure could manifest as providing a service that does not meet the guaranteed performance levels stipulated by the regulator or the operator's contract, leading to penalties or loss of trust. Another incorrect approach would be to implement a CO-S solution that, while technically feasible, does not align with the spirit or letter of the regulatory framework, perhaps by inadvertently prioritizing non-essential traffic over critical mobile backhaul services in a way that is not permitted. This could involve a lack of proper traffic classification or policing that violates regulatory requirements for fair access or service differentiation. Professional reasoning. professionals should employ a structured decision-making framework that begins with a clear understanding of the problem and objectives. This involves 1. Requirement gathering, precisely defining the technical and business requirements, including specific CoS parameters and expected performance metrics for mobile backhaul. 2. Regulatory compliance check, thoroughly reviewing the applicable regulatory framework to identify any constraints, mandates, or guidelines related to CoS in mobile backhaul networks. 3. Technology assessment, evaluating the capabilities of the Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS platform against the gathered requirements and regulatory constraints, focusing on specific CoS features and their implementation details. 4. Solution design and validation, developing potential CoS strategies, simulating their impact, and validating their effectiveness and compliance. 5. Risk assessment, identifying potential technical, operational, and regulatory risks associated with each proposed solution. 6. Decision and documentation, making an informed decision based on the comprehensive analysis and documenting the rationale, ensuring transparency and accountability. Question 20. The evaluation methodology shows a network engineer assessing potential IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport solutions, considering the critical nature of mobile services and the need for reliable, high-performance connectivity. Which of the following evaluation criteria should be given the highest priority to ensure compliance with operational and service level expectations? Option A. The solution's initial acquisition cost, aiming for the most budget-friendly option available. Option B. The solution's ability to support advanced quality of service, CoS, mechanisms for differentiated traffic handling, and its inherent resilience features for high availability. Option C. The solution's adherence to the vendor's proprietary feature set, prioritizing unique functionalities over standard interoperability. Option D. The solution's compatibility with existing network management system, regardless of its performance capabilities. Correct answer is B. The solution's ability to support advanced quality of service, CoS mechanisms for differentiated traffic handling, and its inherent resilience features for high availability. Explanation. The evaluation methodology shows a scenario where a network engineer is tasked with selecting an IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport solution. This is professionally challenging because the choice of technology directly impacts service reliability, performance, and cost, all of which are critical for mobile network operations. The engineer must balance technical capabilities with the specific regulatory and operational requirements of the mobile backhaul environment, which are governed by the framework relevant to the 4A0M01 Alcatel Lucent IP/MPLS mobile backhaul transport exam. This implies adherence to standards and best practices that ensure service continuity and compliance. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a comprehensive evaluation that aligns technical features with the specific demands of mobile backhaul, including quality of service, CoS, for voice and data traffic, resilience for high availability, and scalability for future growth. This approach ensures that the chosen solution not only meets current needs, but also supports the long-term strategic objectives of the mobile operator, all within the defined regulatory and operational context. It demonstrates a commitment to delivering a robust and compliant service. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the lowest initial cost without considering long-term operational expenses, reliability, or compliance with service-level agreements, SLAs, represents a significant regulatory and ethical failure. It risks service degradation, increased downtime, and potential penalties for non-compliance with regulatory mandates for service availability. Another incorrect approach that overlooks the specific CoS requirements for different types of mobile traffic, e.g., voice vs data, would lead to suboptimal performance, impacting customer experience and potentially violating regulatory expectations for service quality. Furthermore, an approach that neglects the security implications of the chosen transport solution could expose the network to vulnerabilities, a critical failure in protecting sensitive subscriber data and network integrity, which is often subject to strict regulatory oversight. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a thorough understanding of the operational requirements and regulatory constraints. This involves defining clear objectives, identifying key performance indicators, KPI, and evaluating potential solutions against these criteria. A structured risk assessment should be conducted for each option, considering technical feasibility, cost-effectiveness, security, and compliance. Stakeholder consultation, including operations, planning, and regulatory compliance teams, is crucial to ensure all perspectives are considered. Finally, a phased implementation and ongoing monitoring plan should be established to validate the chosen solution's performance and adherence to all requirements.